Hello and welcome to Ideagen TV, powered by Azure and presented globally by Microsoft. Today we welcome Christine Galib, Senior Director of Programs at the ION Houston and Chair of Ideagen Houston, Galveston, and Philadelphia. Welcome, Christine.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here today. We are talking about the 17 days of sustainability, the 17 SDG, Sustainable Development Goals here. And I have two experts with me today to break down goal number 7, ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. And so to help us look at what those words really mean, what goal 7 really means, as well as share some examples of the work that they are doing to accomplish goal number 7, I have two experts in the space with us here today. So first, I'd like to call up to the virtual stage someone who is very near and dear to the ION family. He is in the ION Smart and Resilient Cities Accelerator, and he has been absolutely instrumental in helping us understand and track our data use. So I'd like to call up to the virtual stage Tommy Hooks, who is the founder of SmartWatts, to tell us a little bit more about his company and what he does. Tommy, come on up.
Hi, folks. I'm Tommy Hooks, founder of SmartWatts, and we help Texans save on electricity with smart meter insights.
Awesome. And I'm so thrilled he is with us today. I would also like to call up to the virtual stage our second panelist, Patricia Vega, who is the founder and chief executive officer of Quantum New Energy, to tell us a little bit more about her work and being an ecosystem leader here in Houston. So Patricia, come on up.
Yeah, very happy to be here. Thank you, Christine. Nice to meet you, Tommy. Yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Quantum New Energy, and we are a climate tech innovation company. We are providing data-driven solutions to transform carbon to value and streamline ESG reporting.
I love it. So we are in really good hands today. To all of our viewers, listen up, lean in, because we're going to get right into our questions. So Tommy, we'll put you in the hot seat only because you've gone through the accelerator. You're used to my style here. We'll put you in the hot seat first. Just tell us a few examples of what Goal 7 really means to you and how your work relates to Goal 7.
Sure. Thanks, Christine. So I think our work at SmartWatts is directly in support of specifically the SDG goal 7.3, where we have intent to help really improve energy efficiency in residential buildings. And so, while I love all the work that's happening across the industry, and while we absolutely need to keep making those critical investments in weatherization and in the energy transition, as we all know, those investments can take time to implement and scale. So in parallel is what we're learning is that we can have a positive impact on energy efficiency just by influencing consumer behavior. At SmartWatts, what we really do is we tap into the home smart meter sensor, which most Texans already have installed, to enable a personalized energy monitoring dashboard so that homeowners can really see the electricity that they're using and make smarter decisions about their energy consumption. And we're finding with that active monitoring, basically just by paying attention, homeowners can reduce their energy use by anywhere from 5 to 10%. And this is really with some relatively simple and painless changes around the house. And what we're finding is that those results are both immediate and that the behaviors can happen right away, and they're long lasting, so that even when the users stop interacting with the dashboard, those behaviors become a little bit more ingrained in us as consumers so that our patterns change. So really, by providing those real-time insights, we can help people and communities reduce their energy consumption to lessen that environment impact, and then ultimately to help people save on their electric bills.
I love that. And I love how you've scaffolded an approach that goes from kind of data collection to behavioral change. And that long-term kind of, it's great to have the data, but what do we do with that from here? And so I'd love, Patricia, come on up and share a little bit about what you all are doing, because I know you're in this space too, and you're making that very real to us here in Houston as well. So come on up and share just a little bit about what Goal 7 means to you and some of your work.
Yeah, so Goal 7 is all about equal access to sustainable, clean, affordable energy for all. And when we think about that for a second, building on Tommy's idea, about 30% of the energy that is produced and consumed is wasted due to inefficiencies. And that is not a problem only for the consumer, that is a problem also for the entire value chain. At the end of the day, we consumers end up paying for it. And that is a problem. Energy, when we think about energy poverty, in the context of places like the US, it has to do with affordability. And affordability is energy poverty issues affect mainly communities of color. About 50% of the people that experience energy poverty issues are Black people, and 40% are Hispanics. And this is the month where we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. So it is a good time to think about the inequalities that we still experience. And those inequalities also impact the access to energy solutions. So data is really a universal asset that is heavily underutilized. About only 5% of the data that is produced in the world gets analyzed. But data in itself doesn't tell us much. And there is, of course, also the aspect of making it easy to understand. And that easy to understand has to do with, yes, applying the analytical layer to it so we can drive science-based solutions, but then at the same time that they're easy to understand for the general public, regardless of the level of digital literacy. And then the second point, of course, is language. So our platform, Wisely, is the only solution that is fully bilingual in English and Spanish, and we did it very intentionally, thinking about those populations that are hardest impacted and didn't have solutions that had been intentionally designed for them.
I love that. And as I was listening to you, Patricia, I was thinking, it really wasn't till grad school till I took a data analysis class, right? It really wasn't till, an optional schooling for all intents and purposes. And it was much later on in my life. So listening to you, I'm hopeful that you can break barriers earlier for people. Yes. Right? So they can begin to understand, okay, we might be drowning in data all around us, but how do we actually use it? And I love what you said, how do we use it for good? And I'd love to go to Tommy because I know SmartWatts does something for good that's very relevant to tackling the issue of inequality, especially with respect to power and energy. So Tommy, I'll give the mic to you. You can tell us a little bit about what you all are doing over at SmartWatts.
Sure. So yeah, and Patricia, you're spot on. And it is the communities of color and the older communities and the people that are most stricken by poverty that seem to be the most impacted by the complexity of the Texas energy market. So in Texas, we have more than 45 energy providers, each with a specific plan, multiple plans, in fact. So as a consumer, it's quite difficult to understand the best plan based on your unique needs as a homeowner. And the plans are quite complicated on purpose. And so what happens is those disadvantaged communities that are working potentially 2 jobs, 3 jobs, that don't have the time to really do the analysis of the data that's needed, they're disadvantaged again by having to pay, sometimes $400 to $700 more a year in energy costs simply because they didn't find the best plan. So from a SmartWatts perspective, first we're trying to make that data transparent so that the user has an understanding of how much energy they're using. But then we're also going to help match, right? So we're going to help do that matching of, based on your individual consumption, what is the right plan for you? And if you're in a disadvantaged community, if you're in an area where the city of Houston is trying to help improvement, we're just going to give you those reports for free because it makes sense. And so we definitely want to, we call it our Keep the Lights On program. And we definitely want to help those people that actually need the help the most from an energy justice perspective.
I love that. And I love, Tommy, that your vision for SmartWatts is really equity and energy justice. I like that you use that. That's embedded in it. And I can't think really of a better way to help tackle some of these deeply rooted issues and challenges. And so, speaking of challenges, I know that in our work, there are numerous challenges to what we do. Whether that's maybe kind of facing the road bumps along the way, or maybe having a problem pop up at work and just kind of having to tackle it. So I'd love a little bit of insight from where both of you sit as leaders. What are some of the challenges that you faced? And even more importantly than the challenges, how have you overcome them? So we'll give Tommy a little bit of a break. We'll go, Patricia, over to you.
Yeah. So, Christine, I think I can think of two main ones. So the first one is the energy end user itself. And think about this. Energy is so important to everything that we do in our lives. However, it is estimated that we, the people, only think about energy about 7-8 minutes per year, right? And we only think about that when we have an outage. So let's think for a moment about the winter storm. So we live in a world where we use data on a daily basis for things like tracking our steps, our calories, the likes in social media. However, energy data is something that we haven't been used to have access or insights when it comes to understanding our own energy use. Tommy spoke about electricity plants, and that is a big component of the cost, but because people don't think enough about energy or don't have the awareness or didn't have the tools, there is a lack of understanding of the larger real cost of energy. And that includes the environmental footprint, that includes the energy efficiency component, the waste, the leaks, concepts that in the past might have seemed way too complicated. So we're really trying to, again, to make analytics simple, easy to understand, completely affordable, accessible to everyone, regardless of ability to afford it and to pay for it. So that is the integration of the commercial innovation as well, which is one of the challenges. And then the next one that I would say is this really requires partnerships. So it's great, companies like Tommy's and ours and our platform, Anywisely. However, it really requires partnerships that involve private and public. And when it comes to public organizations, they are not as familiar in terms of collaboration and partnership with smaller businesses. And it tends to be a preference and orientation to work with large corporations. And I have experience working with those corporations. So I'm truly surprised to see how I was welcomed in those tables and conversations when I was part of a large organization, and now as an entrepreneur, that access is not as easy. So that is one of the challenges. And of course, we have to persist and find those connections, but we're working through it.
I hear that loud and clear, that the entrepreneurs are with all the great ideas are sometimes, it's a little harder for them to get to the table, which is one of the reasons why we started the ION Smart and Resilient Cities Accelerator, is to kind of help make those connections and make that friction a little bit less for the entrepreneurs. Maybe one day we can eliminate it entirely. I don't know physics. I don't know what they'd say in the physics realm, but we do hope to do that. And so, Tommy, I'd love to kind of kick it over to you now for some of your thoughts on mitigating or overcoming those challenges.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I mean, it's funny, Patricia, the one you keyed in on, it's definitely top of mind for us too. And it's really that, electricity in the United States is so ubiquitous that it's a double-edged sword. We really don't need to consider our consumption. We don't give it a second thought. Most people have no idea how much energy they really use in a year or even in a month. And then what exacerbates that really is the lag time between when we consume the electricity and when we, when we actually flip that switch on the wall and when our bill comes, right? So sometimes that can be 30, 45-day lag. So that mental behavioral reinforcement that we're used to when we go to the store and buy something, it doesn't exist. So it makes it harder for our brains to really understand our consumption. And then, again, as Patricia was saying, most folks really don't understand the environmental impact of generating electricity. I didn't. I think very few people understand just how much coal needs to be burned and how much greenhouse gases are released in order to just generate a kilowatt of energy. So all of these things are compounded. And so when you take that into account, that level of consumer awareness, and then you add on to that we're literally making hundreds, if not thousands of like micro consumption decisions every day. Every time you flip the switch, every time you change the air conditioning thermostat, you're making an electricity decision. We don't think about it that way. And so really what we need is simple tools that give us transparent and real-time information so that we can make smarter decisions and really influence how people are using this scarce resource. And I think that's part of it is we have to change the conversation so that there is a healthy respect that electricity is a scarce resource and it's not perpetual.
I think you're saying something really important here, Tommy, is this notion of scarcity and this notion of, finite access to, or finite resources, and also maybe finite access to them. And I'd love to kind of tee up now a conversation on partnerships, because I think in so many ways, partnerships kind of help us tackle that notion of scarcity, right? If you're able to get the right partner, then the approach to solving the problem is more holistic. You're creating, a multi-prong approach where it's not necessarily, you got to do this on your own and you've got limited amount of resources to do that. A partner can leverage each other and you can tackle the problem together. So I'd love to hear both of your thoughts, and Tommy, will keep you in the hot seat for now. Both of your thoughts on what makes a good partner. What are some examples of partnerships that really have been valuable in your own work? Partnerships or collaborations or collaborators?
For sure. No, Christine, you're absolutely right. And really, we're dealing with a climate crisis at this point. And in order for us to get ahead of it, we have to move fast. We have to mobilize a lot of people. We have to be willing to launch multiple efforts and actions and initiatives in parallel. So that partnering is absolutely essential. I'd say a good partner, how I'd define a good partner, is someone with a shared sense of community and purpose, and someone really willing to put that common good ahead of individual motives and do a little bit of sacrifice. We've had some amazing partners. The ION has just been incredible. Our partnership with the ION it's almost been a network effect of scale in that it's enabled us to build new partnerships. So through the ION, we were able to partner with a technology company to help build our product. We were able to partner with a law firm to help protect some of our IP. We were able to get partnerships with mentors that have years and years in the energy industry that no one on my team has. It's just been incredible. And finding good partners has been a lot easier than I expected. There's a lot of people right now with passion and energy around this space. And I think back, if I would have tried to do something like this just 10 years ago, it probably would have been met with a lot different reaction than it's met with today. So it's absolutely essential.
I really like that. And I think, maybe you're adding a little sprinkles to our cupcakes here is, you're kind of saying maybe there's a right place, right time kind of zeitgeist moment here in America that and really in Houston too, where we can ride that wave and really look at those partnerships. So Patricia, I'll kick the virtual mic over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I'll complement thinking now about the partnership with the actual consumers, with the actual users. I think we have explored how there were lack of tools and data and all these different things. But I think at the end of the day, we need to think about the customer success, right? And what people value and what is going to make these technologies and solutions to be adopted. So one of those elements is joy. And look, we all are super busy, right? And people allocate time to things they feel create value and bring joy to their lives and make their lives better. So one of the best partnerships that we have been able to establish is with people, with our users. So we launched last year and we have provided free energy savings quizzes or audits. That is a word that we learned again through these partnerships, that people didn't like the word audit, that felt intimidating. And so far, a few thousands of people have received this free service, and they have been able to save some of the thousands of dollars per year, reduce their carbon footprint by half or more, become aware of their environmental impact, eliminate waste, and know exactly what actions to take, how and where. So being able to receive that feedback and being able to receive firsthand voice of the customer and customer feedback is fantastic. So that for me is a very, very important partnership to have. And then, yeah, absolutely. It is all really about teams. And normally the bigger impact that you get is through teams and partnerships and collaboration. So organizations like the ION, Greentown Labs, the whole ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem is great. But I always, and that has been my gravitas through my entire career, is to think about the consumer. That at the end of the day is my guiding light.
I love that focus. I love, that's that design thinking perspective, is designing it, who's the user, who's the consumer. And I love that you brought Greentown Labs into this conversation. They are anchored right here in the district with us, just a block away from the ION. They're North America's largest clean tech incubator. And we are so lucky to have their second home, their second location outside of Boston be actually in Houston, a block away from us. So a big shout out to our partners and friends over at Greentown Labs. And I know we've got just a few minutes left. We've talked a lot about a lot of great topics, and I'd love to throw out just one final question here. We would love your advice, maybe that one nugget that we can take home with us as we kind of wrap up our power panel. What is your advice for all the leaders, all the startups, the entrepreneurs, maybe the grad students out there that are doing this work with us here in tackling Goal 7 and ensuring that access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all? Tommy, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Christine. I would say really don't underestimate the value of small change at scale. There's a lot of folks right now aiming for the big wins. Nearly 20% of home energy is wasted on things like leaving the lights on in an empty room or leaving your air conditioner on when no one is home. While you might not feel like you're making a meaningful difference, every kilowatt counts, and thousands of people making thousands of small changes can absolutely make a big impact. So I guess I would just say don't underestimate the power of those small changes at scale.
I love that. As you said that, you think of that ripple effect, and then I thought of my dad's voice. So shout out to my dad, even though he probably will not be listening to this talk. So big shout out to him. I remember him always telling us, shut the lights off when you're not in the room, right? That was the one thing I remember growing up, and it stuck with me. So Patricia, over to you for advice for everyone else listening to our power panel today.
Yeah, no, thank you. So look, I would say kind of twofold answer. So on one side, let's keep thinking in the terms of the consumer and what people care about and understand. When we say kilowatts, right, of course, the cleanest and cheapest kilowatt is that is not wasted. However, most people don't even understand what is a kilowatt. So let's find ways for people to easily understand what it really means. Let's keep building solutions. Let's keep building innovation, but don't forget the social component. I think that is the biggest challenge and opportunity for the city of Houston. We are the energy capital of the world. We have gravitas for the large industry solutions, which we need. But at the same time, this is our opportunity to integrate that S in the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance framework, and make sure that we don't leave anyone behind, that we really build a more just and fair energy transition in which everyone is empowered to participate, companies and individuals and organizations. And I love seeing companies like Tommy's and everybody else that is watching us and thinking, can I do something? Or maybe these guys are already doing it. We need everyone to participate. It's 8 billion people in the world. There are more than 10 million households here in Texas. And there will be solutions that will cater to different audiences because of style, preferences, the solution itself. So I really welcome everyone who is really passionate and feels a purpose and a mission to make sustainable energy accessible to everyone to join. We need all hands on deck. So I'll be happy to connect and to network and to share my experiences and to learn from everyone else that is also working on this space.
I love that. And as you were saying that, I thought to myself, do I even know what a kilowatt is? Like conceptually, right? I mean, I've written it numerous times, but then, is it like 5 drops of water? Is it 10 drops of, is it, how do I visualize that? And so that really takes us full circle to the power of collecting the data, which Tommy is doing, collecting and kind of aggregating that so we can see our consumption. And then what you all are doing, Patricia, telling that story with the data and capturing it to make sure that everybody is on board to help us work towards Goal 7 and beyond. So to all of our viewers, to our panelists, thank you so much. We loved your insights. We loved your wisdom. And to all of our viewers listening, we do hope that you consider that ripple effect and maybe turn the lights off when you're not in the room. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.